Hey, my name is Ben. I'm the founder and one of the instructors at HighStrike. In this video, I'm going to go over my 7-year trading journey. Now, it seems kind of weird to me that I'm saying I've been doing anything for 7 years because I'm only 25 years old. But if you think about it, think back to when I was 18 years old. That's when I started trading in college. I'm going to take you all the way through my journey. What I did when I first got into trading, all the mistakes I made, kind of the turning point for me, and then finally what I'm doing today, and how it's affected my life. So it's going to be about 10 minutes. Sit in. Please watch the whole video. It's going to be very informative for you, especially if you're a newer beginner trader. So first of all, I started trading in college. Now, I was a wrestler back in college, and I apologize if you've heard this story before, but when I used to cut weight, right, I lived in a fraternity house. So we had wrestling matches every Saturday. So Friday night, I would be cutting weight and I wouldn't be able to party or drink or eat or pretty much do anything. So I'd be up in my room and I needed to, focus my time onto something. Now, I've always been entrepreneurial. I've loved solving puzzles. I've heard about all these people that make money in the stock market and that have done very well in the stock market. So I dedicated some of that time on my Friday nights to actually learning about the stock market and trading and different trading strategies. Now, at first, I was a very analytical person and I was like, I'm really smart, I can do this. And I thought I would just be the best at it right away. And that was actually kind of one of the pitfalls that I hit, was that I thought I knew everything at the beginning, right? And so I had like about $100 a week coming in from work study or whatever I was doing. I had a small side job. I was getting a little bit of income. So I used that to fund my trading account and just make some trades, like feel my way around the market. And while that was the right step, that is the step that we still do recommend for beginners today. I kind of did it in such a way that, I thought after a couple weeks of experience, I knew everything, and that was kind of the way I lost a little bit of money. And so over my 4 years of college, I kept losing money, testing strategies, losing money, and it amounted to about $13,000 in the end. I know a lot of you guys have heard that story as well. I did spend quite a bit or most of my income on trading. Now, I look back on that as some of the best invested money I've ever made, but at the time it was kind of like, well, damn, I've spent all this money trying to learn how to trade. Is this even possible? I've been sitting up in my room during wrestling or the night before wrestling matches, working on this skill of mine, working on this thing that I may or may not have thought was actually possible, right? And then at the end of 4 years of college, all I had to show for it was, a couple $100 in my trading account, still after being funded a few different times. Now, I know that's probably relatable to a lot of you guys. Some of the biggest mistakes that I made in that time period, I'll just go over them really quick, were one, trying to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. Now, anyone who tells you that the stock market is a tool for building wealth, and sometimes very quickly, they're correct. You can definitely build wealth in the stock market in short amounts of time. However, having that as your main goal will actually cause you to overextend your risk-reward ratio in such a way that you will inevitably lose, and that's what happened, right? Maybe I won a couple times, but always my risk-reward ratio was out of whack, and I didn't understand even what that meant at the time, and so eventually my account would crash down to $10, right? That's one of the biggest things that I learned in college, was managing risk-reward ratio. We'll get to that later on. But the second thing I learned in spending all this time learning the stock market is that every week I would learn new things, right? I never stopped learning because of the experience I was getting in the stock market. And I would look back on my previous week's self and I was like, you thought you knew everything, right? Now I know everything. And then another week would come by and you learn something else and you think, oh, last week you thought you knew everything. Now I actually know everything. Today, I know that I will never know everything, right? Very few people, if any, know everything about the stock market. I'm personally learning something new almost every day still. I've been trading for 7 years. Another thing that I learned is that you'll never outsmart the market. The best you can do is prepare for potential movements in the market in ways that will eventually benefit you in the end. I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but the basic premise behind trading I learned is that you need to set yourself up to be the bank, to be the casino, right? You're making X amount of trades, you need to win more than half at a 50% risk-reward ratio, or you need to win more than a quarter of them at a 3-to-1 risk-reward ratio, right? It's all about risk, reward, and win percentage. It's not about picking the right exact stock. It's not about being right every single time. Now that's something that I learned back in those 4 years of college in my first phase of actually learning how to trade. And I was just making the same mistake. I was like, well, what's wrong with my stock picking skills? And in reality, nothing was wrong with my stock picking skills. What was wrong was the risk reward analysis I was doing on those stocks. Theoretically, you can trade the same stock every day, and if your risk reward setup is good, you'll make money in the long run. That's something I didn't understand. I thought you had to go out and nail every stock pick, right? You had to find the next hot stock that you need to put your money in, or else you're missing out. Not true. Everything is risk reward. But still, I look back on those 4 years of my college experience trading with just $100 or $200 to my name every time as some of the best experience and money spent that I've ever had in my life in terms of learning a new skill. Which brings us to the second phase of my 7-year trading journey, which happened in years 4 and 5, tentatively, and that's when I got a full-time job after I graduated from college. So I went to school for engineering. I graduated with a degree in chemical engineering, and I got a job in the industry. Now, I thought at the time that that was, what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I enjoyed chemistry. I enjoyed the engineering principles that I learned in school, and I'd always been like a builder, like a hands-on person. So getting that job in engineering was something that I thought was going to be a long-term thing for me. My stock market trading was kind of just like a side hustle, maybe something that I'd pursue later on in life, or something that I'd work on my skills as I continued through life. But it just so happened that I didn't really love what I was doing in the engineering field. Now, the job I was at was great. The people were awesome. There was nothing bad about that. But one thing that I could tell was that when I looked at the people I was working with, when I worked with them, I could tell that they loved what they were doing, and I could tell that they were in it for the long haul, and that they were going to have very successful careers. Now, this was probably one of my biggest realizations, was that I wasn't the same way. Like, I didn't love what I was doing. And although it was impactful work, it was work that needed to be done and that people did enjoy out there, it wasn't for me. So I continued working on my trading skills outside of work. This was a little bit tough to do. The main thing here that I want to touch on is the way I balanced trading with a job. So I would do most of my analysis the night before. I would do chart markups, I would do trading plan setups. I would gather all my thoughts during that nighttime period so that during the day I could just make a trade in the matter of 20 minutes or so if I had time at work. I would do everything from my phone, which was not ideal, but it was possible. And then that trading plan that I made the night before, I would execute on my phone without having to do like on-computer analysis, which was a big part of trading, is being able to read the charts on the computer. I would do that all the night before. Have my trading plan on a little sheet. I call it my go sheet. I would bring it to work and then execute my trades at work. Now, this doesn't sound ideal. This was a huge turning point for me in terms of trading because it taught me how to trade selectively. Now, if you know what the PDT rule is, in the United States, you can't make more than 3 day trades in a 5 trading day period. And I was still under this rule. Even though I had a full source of income, right, from my engineering job that I did use to fund my trading account, that PDT rule was still in place. So this taught me to be very selective because the nature of what I was trading, I really only could trade for about 20 minutes or so. That means I was confined to day trading strategy. I was confined to fast-paced trading. Now, with fast-paced trading, you're gonna get restricted by the PDT rule to only trade 3 times in a 5 trading day period. So I learned to be very selective about my trades. And at first, I started picking only the trades that could make me a lot of money, right? Only the trades with a great upside. And yeah, I had a few go ballistic, right? I made a little bit of money there. But overall, I learned that in order to be sustainable, that selective trading mindset needs to be focused around risk-reward ratio. I know we touched on that in the first part of the video. But risk-reward ratio was something that I learned to be the most important part of trading. And I think it was this selectivity that I was forced into by trading during my job that really taught me the importance of coming up with a solid trading plan at night, executing the trading plan during the day, and being extremely selective. Now, the other huge thing that I learned during my 9-to-5 job is that I did have money coming in now. I had a solid source of income. I think it was about $60K a year. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was a legitimate source of income that I could use to fund my trading account. And so for the first time in my life, I had the emotions of trading start to engage. So when we talk about the tiers of trading, the levels of progression through trading, emotions is usually second, right? It goes trading strategy, emotions, emotions and risk management, and then finally account growth. Those are the 3 stages. I learned the emotion side of things during my trading with a job because I had greater sums of money. So now instead of my trading account being $100 or $200 like it was in college, my trading account was $1,000, $2,000, sometimes up to $5,000. And that was money that, although, now it doesn't seem like a lot, it seemed like a lot of money at the time, and if I were to lose the whole account, I would be devastated. I remember actually one day I was down $3,000 and I just couldn't focus on work. I was so torn up about losing $3 grand in the stock market that I just couldn't do anything. I froze up and it sucked. It was awful. And that was the first time where I was like, I never want to feel like this again. So I made a plan. How do I never feel like this again? Well, for me, it was cut my losses at $300 every single time. That was my trading plan. If I'm ever $300 in the red on a position, that position's getting cut. I don't care what it is. And that was a plan, that was a rule I set out for myself going forward. And it really helped me visualize and conceptualize the importance of risk management, because after that rule was in place, my losses were consistent and my winners started outweighing my losses. And that was one of the turning points that I started to see in my trading when I finally, during my 9-to-5 job, in the 4 to 5 year period of my 7 years of trading experience, finally started to turn the corner and become profitable. Now, a lot of you guys will think, well, 4 or 5 years, is it even worth it at that point? Now, a couple things about that. First, yes, absolutely. If it takes you 4 or 5 years to learn a lifelong skill that you're gonna use to make money for the rest of your life, why wouldn't you do that, right? It's just like going to college. I went to college for 4 years to learn how to make $60K a year. Why wouldn't you learn a skill like trading for 4 to 5 years, even if you have to spend a little bit, right? I spent much more on college education. Even if you have to spend a little bit on that trading experience, losing money, to learn a skill that you could make much more than $60K a year, right? No brainer. A lot of people aren't willing to do it. That's okay. That's just my thought process on it. So after that turning point, I started to gain a lot of confidence in my trading. And at that point, a year and a half after getting that first job out of college, I quit the job to trade full time. Now this seems like a full send to a lot of you guys, and it was. But I personally value time so much more than money. And at that point, I was making probably 3 to 4 times what I was making at my job trading. And it was worth it to me, right? I was 22 at the time. I was young. It was the time in life to take a risk that could potentially set myself up for lifelong freedom. And it worked out perfectly. Not saying that you should just quit your job to trade full time. I'm saying build proof of concept to quit your job to trade full time. It also helped, that I had a little bit of money saved up. I had about $20,000 saved up, so that if I really did need it to pay bills, I had it sitting there. And a lot of kids don't understand, and Gary Vee says this, you can't really screw up under the age of 25. Unless you go to jail or kill someone, obviously all those things are bad and those are considered screw ups. But financially and career-wise, you can't really screw up under the age of 25. You're always gonna have that time to kind of climb back and to figure things out and to reset. And that was my thinking. I was like, if I can quit this job right now that I really don't like, I'm really not enjoying this, it's not the career path I want. If I quit this job right now, try and trade full time, see if I can sustain myself. Will that be worth it in 20 years if I look back and say, should I make that decision? And I was like, hell yeah, it will, right? If I'm able to make this. And it turns out it did work. I was able to sustain that income plus some, plus a lot more from trading. And it was amazing because I value time a lot more than money. So it was a little bit of a jump to quit my job to trade full time. But I did it, it happened, and it worked out, and I'm thankful for it. So that is the end of phase 2, my trading with a full-time job, cycling into quitting that job, and in phase 3, we're gonna talk about my 6 to 7 year, my most recent 2 years, what I've been up to in my 7-year trading journey, and that's founding HighStrike. So in the last couple years, I kind of looked back on my trading journey for the first 5 years, and I thought why did it take me 5 years to figure out how to do this? And everything seemed so, not simple, but everything seemed so apparent to me. All the skills that you can use to make money in the stock market the correct way, I had those skills, and I kind of wanted to shake myself 5 years ago and say, it's so simple. like just don't overextend yourself on your positions and follow rules A, B, C, right? Just do these 3 things and you're gonna be okay. So I really didn't have a resource or a mentor or like a coach or anything like that, like a trading group. I know there's 1,000 trading groups now, but back 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I didn't have that resource to kind of expedite my process. So I made it my mission to start HighStrike, which is an education program for people who are just starting out, right? Now our spin on this whole thing is that we're gonna be real with you, right? It's not an overnight process. It's not a get rich quick process. The stock market is a tool to take your money over long periods of time and gradually grow it. And that's the mission that we have at HighStrike, to help our students do that. Everything about HighStrike is the resource that I didn't have starting out, right? I did not have any resource that was telling me be conservative with your positions. Cut your losses short early, right? Limit your losses to $300. Make that $300 rule, right? I didn't have anything telling me that. Now, I made it my mission to start HighStrike. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but this is what I've been up to more recently, is starting HighStrike. And it's been so rewarding to me to be able to take this thing that I love to do and do it full time. And trading, the income I've gotten from trading has made that possible for me. Quitting my job, like just full sending it, and at the age of 22 and saying, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm only doing things that I love to do. Being able to make that jump allows me to wake up every day and work on building our empire at HighStrike, on impacting more lives and helping people move along, right? It's so rewarding to me, and I just love talking about it here, and it's become my life's work to grow this business, this company. And yeah, we do make money off of it, right? Because we provide real value. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that we don't make money off of sharing this advice with people, but it's so rewarding to be able to help people in such a way that is so close to home, is so close to something I wish I had so bad when I was back in the first part of my trading journey. So there are a few takeaways. I just want to end this video with some takeaways from my 7-year trading journey that I've talked about that I just want to recap. So number 1, it's not an overnight success story. The title of this video should let you know that. My 7-year trading journey, not my overnight trading explosion, right? It's a process. You need to learn, you need to get experience, and you need to make mistakes and lose money, quite frankly, in order to fully understand the realm of the stock market. That's a universal truth. Second thing is that I thought I was a smart person, and I was a smart person, and I am a smart person, right? Obviously. But it doesn't mean that it's gonna directly translate into stock market trading success. And I thought it automatically would, right? Just because I was analytical, I assumed I would be able to out-analyze the stock market, outsmart everyone else I was trading, and make money consistently. That was so far from the truth. In reality, it takes discipline, practice, experience, making mistakes, just like I said. And I think you're gonna find that these takeaways, they're all kind of similar. And the third takeaway is that there is a way to figure out how to do whatever you want to do, right? If you're willing to put in the work, there are people out there all over the world that are doing exactly what they want to do. And there's no reason why you should shy away from that, right? Especially if you're young. If you're a young person, like I said, you can't screw up financially before the age of 25. There are a few exceptions. I've already seen these comments rolling through. But typically, your financial decisions you make before 25 are not gonna kill you unless you get a ton of credit card debt or anything like that. But career-wise, if you wanna quit your job and pursue your passion, do it before you're 25, right? If you want to try and learn trading, fund your account before you're 25, even if you lose it all, right? It's a risk, right? Take risks before you're 25. Do what you wanna do. Try and put yourself in the best possible position to be successful. Because I tell you what, if you try 1,000 times to be successful and you have a 1% chance of success every time, your chance of success at least once over the 1,000 times is over 99.99%. I'll say that again. If you rip 1,000 attempts and you have a 1% success rate on each attempt, the probability that you'll be successful on one of the attempts and that you'll break through and start winning on one of the attempts is over 99.99%, right? So that means just try things, right? Put yourself out there, take risks before before you get too old, while you're young. That's the biggest takeaway that I have for you about my 7-year trading journey, right? This video is not about all the other things I tried before I was 25, right? You're not seeing all those things. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of other things that I wasn't successful at before the age of 22, right? There's a lot of ways in which I tried to create a life for myself. I tried to create financial freedom for myself, and it just didn't work out. You're not seeing any of those things. All I'm telling you about in this video is the one that worked out. So just keep that in mind.